Hey guys, it's Jennie Wolek with the Wolek Group, Keller Williams Realty Advantage in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And today I'm so excited, so is she, to have you meet Brindley Tucker. Brindley, I am
Hello.
so excited that you are joining me and everyone to share everything operations.
Yeah,
So
everything.
everything. So we will let you start by just introducing yourself and where you live and how you got into this business and how you have found a way to help us crazy real estate agents hone in our skills to find perfect talent for our team.
Well, the good news is that I'm just as crazy as all of you. So there's no unicorns. We want to all think that we're unicorns, but you can feel better knowing that there's no unicorns in real estate. And so my journey started, it'll be 7 years ago in November that I'll have been with Keller Williams. Came to Keller here. I'm in Safety Harbor, Florida, so right outside of Tampa Bay, and worked on Wall Street right out of college. Every position that I've taken in my career path, I have started as an assistant, and it was a way to learn the business. I started as in the talent industry in New York City as a talent assistant. Then I moved over to investment banking because my major was economics, and I became an assistant on the trading floor and then in investment banking. So just a lot of positions that allowed me to learn a lot of different industries so that I could decide what I wanted to be when I grew up. And got out to Texas and sold country club memberships for Club Corp. And that's when I first started hearing about real estate and hearing about realtors and what their worlds look like. And so made a move back to Florida, to my hometown, and decided that I didn't want to work for anyone, that I was completely unemployable. And so decided that I wanted to be a realtor. And I didn't want to just jump in with no money and no idea what I was doing. And so I applied for an assistant position. And I was actually hired by Nikki Ubaldini, who owns the South Florida region. We love Nikki. And she hired me as a director of agent services in one of her market centers. And started in November with her, and then fast forward about 6 months, I went to my first family reunion in February of 2012, and I would go through some pretty major life changes a couple months later. And if you want to hear more about that, I was interviewed by Jeff Woods on the One Thing podcast. It's episode 78. And so ended up, Nikki had to let me go. And so here I was, in pretty much one of the darkest times of my life. And a few agents knew that I wanted to make some changes. And so they hired me to assist them with just marketing. It was when eEdge came out. And so I would bike from agent to agent and all of these things. And then I opened an independent self-funded TC company. And I built that for about 3.5 years. And I'm a DI, so with a high C as well, that is adaptable. And when I got to about 3.5 years, I wanted to blow my brains out. And I was like, I'm not passionate. I built this out of desperation and was able to sell it to my team members who never would have owned businesses. And the experience of going through that, I realized that we had a group of individuals in our industry and in our company that had the ability to be partners with us in our business and help us run our businesses. They just didn't know how. And they didn't have the assertiveness to go out and figure it out. And I said, if I can train and coach these individuals and be a voice for these individuals and help them go from being task managers to thinking like business owners, I mean, how rewarding would that be? And so sold the business and started training, coaching, and hiring. And that's where I am now.
And that's where you are now. And we'll talk about all the exciting stuff you have coming up a little bit later. But Brindley, why do us real estate agents keep doing it wrong over and over?
You know, I don't necessarily think that it's doing it wrong. I think that we're really, really good at being realtors. We're really, really good at being salespeople. And we haven't mastered being business owners yet. And there's a big difference. And owning businesses takes mastery. And it's easier to sell sometimes. It's easier to just go, always close, get the deal, get the cash. And when we have to go into that business owner mindset of doing all those other things, it's not our comfort zone. And so we go, well, I don't want to do it. And so we quick hire to get somebody in there to do it, and they haven't mastered it. And we're in the same boat, and it becomes this revolving door every 6 months to a year.
So when we know and we follow the models and the systems that we know are trained and available for us, we get really excited and we hone in on, what we can do better. And maybe we try to reset ourselves and our team. And then, then we realize, oh crap, now I need to go sell some more houses. So when we're wearing so many hats of being a business owner and an agent and all the things that we do, how can you help us focus and hone in on what's most important to do right now?
Well, I think it depends on where you are in your business. If you're a brand new agent that you're doing, the 1 to 2 deals a month, start looking for talent now, because it's about right now we have the lowest unemployment rate that we've had in 17 years. Mm-hmm. So the pool for talent is already small enough. Then if you're in a smaller market, you've now decreased it even more. So we're seeing that if you want to find talent and have a strong retention, it can take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to find that talent and get them trained. And we all know that right now, you're not building your team for 2018, you're building your team for 2019. So whatever you want your team to look like next year and how you want them to feed your 2019 production, you need to start hiring and training them now so they're ready to go come October, November when we start our year.
Okay, that sounds all easy and good. And I'll just say that there's probably a lot of fear and scarcity mindset when it comes to especially that first hire, mm-hmm. thinking about the money. Mm-hmm. How do we get over the mindset of this?
The money will come. So I think sometimes we think, well, there's 2 options. If you're in a strong market that has an independent TC, start using them now. It's $300 to $400 a transaction. It comes out when you close. A lot of TCs don't require you to pay unless it closes. You should be doing that from day one. Then start building your reserve. And you should have, some people say 3, some people say 4, some people say 6 months. Remember, you're only hiring this person for 30 days at a time. You only have to pay them for 30 days at a time. And if you don't sell at least one more house in that 90 days that you hire them, you have the wrong talent. And you should get rid of them and not pay them anyway.
Yeah. Ouch.
And it is easier said than done. And again, if we keep doing the same things, we're going to keep getting the same results. If we shift the mindset and do it different, we'll get different results.
Well, how about this? How can I determine the capacity and abilities of my current team?
Well, I think first and foremost, we really have to start. I think people don't start with their foundation. And the foundation always starts with, do you have a job description? And what does that job description look like? Based on where your business is right now. And secondly, have you looked at your P&L to see what salaries you can support? And I think that's the big one that gets a lot of people in trouble, is that they see, oh, I have an extra $2,000 in my bank account this month. I can hire someone. Well, if you look at your past 6 months, you may not have had $2,000, and you may not really even have $2,000 in the bank. It might look like you do, and you don't necessarily. So I think it's the path is in the math, right? Know your numbers, know that you have room for that salary. So laying those foundations first, and then the first hire, when I teach my Leverage Your Way to Freedom class, we talk about identify your 80 and identify your 20. Your 80% then becomes the job description for your first hire. Once they come on, immediately identify their 80-20 so that you already know what that next hire looks like, because they're going to take over their 80%.
Yeah.
So I think and the capacity level comes in, the longer that 80% gets, and if they start having to do their 80% at the expense of their 20, you know that they're at their capacity.
I have never heard it discussed that way. Thank you for that. Yeah. So sometimes for some of us, we're great at attracting the talent, mm-hmm. and then maybe not so super on the communication and follow-up and accountability in training?
Listen, guys, I'm going to be honest, and I mean this like in the nicest, sweetest way possible. People make things messy. Like, we're doing great on our own, and I am a business owner to business owner. I have a team of 6. They're all virtual. They're all over the country. So I get it. Like, people, I mean, there are some nights that I come home and I'm just like, oh, like if I just didn't have to deal with the people, right? And I had an aha when I started my team, and I was having those frustrations, and I was coaching and I was doing the team. And it came to me that leadership requires mastery, just like everything else. I think we get this idea in our head that people say you're born a natural leader, or you're a high D, or you're assertive, and people listen to you and they follow you. And we don't realize that you have to master leadership. Mm-hmm. And so I think when you start hiring training, what are you doing to educate and gain knowledge on leadership? For myself, I go to every one of Seth Campbell, Ben Kenny, Gary Keller. I try to get in front of those people as much as I can because they've done it. And that's who I want to learn from.
Right.
Diana Kokoska, I stalked her. I mean, literally like stalked her and forced her to talk to me. And, now she pours into me so much. I mean, what other female leader? And now I'm partnering with Monica Reynolds and getting to learn from her leadership. So what are you doing to master it?
Right. You gotta show up and participate in all training classes and events and meet people. And that's how we've met over the years. Yeah. And you've poured into me when I needed help. You just took my phone call. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think it's asking for help. And I think a lot of us we take that as a sign of weakness. And I'm finding that it's not, because most people want to help, and don't rob someone else of the opportunity to do something nice for you. I love helping people. It's what I love to do. I need to master empathy because I was not an empathetic person for a long time. So my way of mastering empathy is helping people. Don't take that away. Just ask.
Yeah. So a lot of us will start with an assistant, and then that assistant, we then have a new name called executive assistant and assistant executive. And now there's this new world called director of operations. How has this all evolved, and what are the roles and the details inside of all that?
So kind of first and foremost, what I always say is you can't have a director of operations until you have operations to direct. So I think what happens is, like, we had this like executive assistant, and then we had this executive assistant executive, right? And those people were labeled as SCs. And then everyone was like, no, I need a driver. And so we can't call them an executive assistant anymore because those are SCs and we need DCs. And so I think we just got like way caught up in titles and behavior and really stopped looking at the talent itself. Mm-hmm. And so, in Gary's model in MREA too, director of operations doesn't come until level 5 when you're getting ready to expand. And you have to have someone that can run that entire operations side of your business because you're off building your expansion teams. So I think that if we looked at the evolution of the model, it's you hire that first assistant, and you really should be looking for someone now, if you want to build a big business, that is a driver, because most likely they're going to be high drivers can exist out of their comfort zone for about 12 to 18 months. Beyond that, the wheels start to fall off. So if you want to move fast, hire a driver that'll then leverage out all that detail-oriented stuff by hiring the next hire, the listing manager, the TC, so on and so forth.
And I think that has been the challenge for me, at least. I'll admit it to everyone else. If it's not a challenge for them, that's awesome. For me, it was always just finding, in the early days, it was finding that driver, having that person to join you on the early. So we have to start with having a big vision, right?
You have to have a big enough vision to keep the people inside your vision. Yeah. And what I find is, a lot of people don't want the responsibility of owning a business. They want to be a part of something big, yet they want their weekends. They want to be with their kids. And I that limiting belief comes up a lot. And I always say, we hire them every day. I mean, they're harder to find. they're needles in a haystack. And that's why we have to wait and be patient. Yet we don't have time to not be patient. We can't afford to not be patient because now, again, you're just bad hire after bad hire.
So what are some good books that you've read that others could read to kind of get their mindset around big thinking? And one that came to mind for me was Rocket Fuel, which is a good one where you can actually see that the visionary and the integrator working together. What else can you think of?
I just think, I always go back to leadership, developing the leader within you, 360-degree leader. EQ, emotional intelligence, that is definitely a book. I think that both agents and operations can benefit from, because a lot of it is learning our EQ and working with one another, because we're very different behavioral styles. Winning with People is a great book. Nikki Baldini actually told me to read that one. When I told her, I said, I want to master relationships. And she said, you need to read Winning with People. And I'm like, okay. So that's a really good one. Let's see what else we got. Oh, anything by Lencioni. We know that. Patrick Lencioni, so The Ideal Team Player. He wrote 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. So that's a good one. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now.
I know. I've got mine. I think I have that.
Multipliers is a really good one that Gary just recommended on leadership, and how to be a great boss.
Yeah. Well, so you are a boss inside of your own world. I mean, you teach us and coach us on how to be great at this. So you are doing it yourself, and you actually are an owner of a company. Tell us about your Realty Leverage and how you can help us.
Yeah. So it's funny because if my team watches this, they're going to be like, you tell us not to use the word boss. So we don't use the word boss in our organization. We don't use the word employee. We use the words leader, partner, team member. And so I have a team. I started the company about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. I made my first hire a year ago, and now we're a team of 6. And what we do is we actually career vision, new hires for agents that are in the administrative operations world. We also do director of sales. So what I like to say is any salaried position on the team. And then we train anything that has to do with operations, TC, listing manager, and basically they have a detailed 30, 60, 90 that we create that's customized to your systems and your models and your tools. And they work with our one-on-one trainers for that first 90 days. Then we recommend they roll into the Perfect Real Estate Assistant and then into Monica and I's new program. So we now have almost annual training for these folks.
So how do you get my policy procedure manual and operations, and how do you get all that to help train our team members? I mean, we got to be working together.
Yeah. So as we go through, and again, like the agents involved, except the difference is that we're telling the new hire when to come to you. And when they come to you to learn something about your business, they've already learned how to do it. They're just coming to you to learn customization. Right about the KPA, when we start sending KPAs to folks and we feel like we've got some strong candidates, our training department is going to reach out to you and you're going to have a full consult call, and they're going to go through every system in your business. If you don't have it, they're going to help build it. So what are you using for your listings? What are you using for TC? And then they create a 90-day, day-by-day training plan.
Wow. So you're throwing in some help with the owner as well.
Well, and the great part is that they're not calling you asking for questions. They're calling their trainer, because they have access to a trainer all day during business hours.
Now, as you grew this business on your own with, you're such an entrepreneur, did you have growing pains through it as well?
Ooh, guys, I love you and I am you, but agents, I mean, I dealt with it for 4 years, working for 100 agents in TC, and it definitely has its challenges because we all care about our businesses so much. And I have failed as a leader. I mean, I have. And, what is phenomenal about my team is that they know that I'm human, and they allow me to be human, and they allow me to fail forward just as much as they do. And, we grow together, and everything is messy, and each year it gets better. And, recently I had someone, I was at an event and I had an agent that we had worked with that, not every deal works out. And she pulled me outside and she said, I just want to thank you for the way that you handled yourself through all of that and afterwards. And I had such an aha moment that it doesn't matter how we fail. It's how we react, how we treat the customer through that, and how we treat our team through it, because that customer will come back, because that's what they'll remember. They won't remember the mistake. They'll remember how you handled it. And I teach that in customer experience. And I just think that is because you can't prevent yourself from not failing, or, failure is feedback. So you want the feedback.
You're right. It is. And we're all failing forward every day. So you have some really big thing to reveal. Everybody should know about it because they're going to sign up for your class that starts on Thursday. Tell everybody about your new adventure with Monica.
So I am so excited. For those of you that know me, one of my biggest missions is to get more out there for the ops community within Keller Williams, specifically with maps. And I've partnered with Diana, and she's been amazing throughout this process, and Joe Bogar now, and who, Jennie, I think that you might have had some influence on your business. And I get to partner with, the one and only Monica Reynolds. The one that started all of this. And so we've developed a group program called the Perfect Operations Team. And it's an 18-week course. In the first 6 weeks, we go deep into the listing manager role. The second 6 weeks, we go deep into the TC, transaction coordination role. And then the last 6 weeks, we go into the director of ops role. And during each section, we're going to have an interview with someone. Like our first one is going to be with Elena Badeau, who runs the whole listing division for the Wolek Group. So we've got some great interviews, a lot of content, a lot of new content that we're really excited to roll out, and it's going to be fun. Monica and I are going to be, I'm excited. It's going to be an interesting dynamic.
Oh my gosh. I can only imagine the energy that is going to be exploding all over those calls. Just the two of you together are going to have such great insight and enthusiasm. It's
been really fun, really, really fun working with her. And I've learned so much and continue to learn from her. So it's been a cool experience.
Well, what do you think is something that has really just sparked all of this in you, in your life and in your business? What do you owe all of this to? All this
honestly, grace. And Keller Williams has, and if you listen to the podcast, you'll understand a little bit more, but Keller Williams changed my life. And they were there for me at a time when a lot of people didn't want to have anything to do with me. And I will forever be grateful to this company and do whatever I can to pour into our associates and give back, because they were just Gary's vision. I don't know where I would be if I hadn't had that opportunity. So, I think it's hard when we go through some things in life, especially when we make them happen, they don't happen to us. And it's coming back from that and extending yourself grace and asking for help to just go forward. And eventually, it's that first domino that they talk about in the one thing. And then eventually enough time goes by that you get to start using it to help. And I think that is, if you just do one more thing, you get closer to the next thing, And before you know it, you're looking back. I get chills. You're like, oh my gosh, like this is my life. So
and you made all that happen. I'm proud of you.
Just do the next right thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your time. I want to give you a big hug right now. Virtually, we'll just do that. So anybody needs to get in touch with you for any reason, referrals or questions, what's the best way they can do that?
I'm a licensed agent. A lot of people don't know that. So you can refer business to me in Safety Harbor, Tampa, Florida. But the best way to reach me is you can reach me online on Facebook, Brindley, Brindley, Tucker, Tucker. My email is Brindley, Brindley, @yrltalent.com. Reach out anytime. I do a lot of individual calls with people. So just be patient with time, but I do consults all the time to just, help you and kind of give you some direction on where to go next. So reach out, ask for help.
You are so kind and generous, and I just am so proud of you with all you are accomplishing, and I know you've got so much more to give, and I'm excited to see how your class goes. I know you will add so much value to so many agents. Appreciate you.
Really, thank you so much, Jennie. It's been awesome talking with you today. Bye, guys.
Bye. If you guys need anything from me, my number is 918-706-9845. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.